to a new episode of kcrushmerica's featured interviews. I'm your host, film culture critic and journalist Carolyn Hinds, and I am off camera. You can hear my voice, but here joining me today at the Minikino Film Week 11 in Bali, Indonesia. Is program director her in her tie-dye shirt, Chika, and next to her is Matt, and Matt is from the Glasgow Film Festival, and next to Matt is his programming partner Holly, and I am so happy to be here to be joined to be talking to these three because Minikino and the Glasgow Film Festival have a collaboration. I believe it's its third year. In like how many years is it?
It's 5. I think if you count the holiday time, yeah, you should count.
Okay, so in collaboration for 5 years. But first of all, thank you so much for taking the time for speaking with me today. So I'll begin with Chika first. How long have you been working with Minikino? Because we had a tour before we get our interview. We had a tour with one of the screening locations at Denpasar, and you are probably one of the most dedicated program directors I've seen because you have a cinema in your home and you have the offices for Minikino in your home. Talk to me about getting involved with Minikino, especially coming from an architectural background.
Wow, you want the 2 minutes version or the 30 minutes version? I'll do the 2 minutes version. So the founder of Minikino is both actually 3, interestingly, graduated as architect. Edo Wulian, Judith Guritno, and Sakia. However, they're not running the festival anymore. Basically, when they started at 2002, I think the oldest one that were volunteers by then was the chairman of the foundation now. I came into the picture around 2008 as a volunteer. I know when I first moved to Bali for architecture work, some people, of course my friends, say you should check out Minikino because I love going to festivals. G-Fest, I grew up with Jakarta International Film Festival as audience. So, but too busy with work. 2008, then I get to know someone. It's Edo. Edo is actually Tintin's sister, but also volunteering for Minikino by then. Anyhow, we fell in love. Now it's the love story. Long story short, I used to wondering why Minikino, you're doing screenings on Sundays. I mean, I work as a full-time architect, so Sunday will be like wind down time. And I was like, the screenings. But then when I sit at the screenings, the filmmakers are amazing. They come, especially documentary filmmakers, and of course Minikino focusing on short film. So this is amazing. So I volunteer, and then 2013 I start taking projects for Minikino because they need a project coordinator. Before I was just like, I'm interested in programming, but I like watching. Sometimes I write. Now it's more than 2 minutes. Okay, I do 1 more minute. Anyhow, 2013, I start taking projects helping out this collaboration program. I thought I can contribute as architect because we plan. Apparently, it's even more fascinating than architecture in a way that you connect also people and space, and you got the whole thing, artistic, experimental. You see the space, you are using the space during the anyway it goes. So I start also learning programming by doing, and then fast forward 2025, and of course Edo, and all the volunteers. Just like for me, it's very inspiring, and we have the space anyway. And how film festival, how short film festival, the feeling. Where's the money? If the short filmmaker are wondering where's the money, same goes to the short film festival. It took a lot of love. So we got by because a lot of also kind people support what we are doing, and it's very also important and it's rewarding.
And for you and Matt and Holly, how did you guys become involved with the Glasgow Film Festival?
So, for a start, I should say it's Glasgow Short Film Festival.
Glasgow Short
It's
Film
an easy mistake to make because we grew out of Glasgow Film Festival. So originally, I'll try and do the 2 minute.
You're gonna get by with 4 minutes.
Okay. In 2006, I think, some friends of mine set up a pop-up film nights around Glasgow and Edinburgh, the other main cities in Scotland. And that was a time when there were very few. The idea of a pop-up film night was not really very common, certainly in Scotland, and they were focusing on short film and particularly on women filmmakers, foreign people who were not getting their work shown. They were invited to do a short film weekend at Glasgow Film Festival, which at that time was quite small and just focused on the local audience. And it grew from there, so it grew into a festival in its own right, and then we broke apart from Glasgow Film Festival. We were all friends, but we're now totally independent of there, and we moved to a separate date in the calendar. And really from the beginning, we were really keen. Glasgow has a great musical tradition and a great visual arts scene. And the film, I mean, there was a time when Glasgow had more cinema screens per population, or the per capita than anywhere else in Europe, but maybe this is not the case so much anymore, and so our focus has always been to kind of bring cinema back into this sort of bubbling culture and of exciting creative activity in Glasgow. Yeah, I think that's the.
And how did you become involved?
I've just shown a film there, so I'm not involved in the Glasgow Short Film Festival.
I think as a filmmaker, you kind of are part of the festival, right? Because
absolutely.
Because like filmmaker, you can't do a festival without a filmmaker, right?
What to show?
What do you mean?
Yeah, so I showed a new film, Holland show this year, actually, like world premiered at the Glasgow Short Film Festival, which was really nice. And then now I'm here in Bali because of the collaborative exchange program. It's really the Minikino Film Festival, the Glasgow Short Film Festival, and I chose a filmmaker to go to each other's festivals, so I was the Glasgow-based filmmaker chosen to come here. It was fantastic.
How did you guys choose Holly?
Whoa! Tough competition!
It was very easy.
What?
So we had, I think, about 40 applications. You had like.
We had 145 Indonesian filmmakers. We call nationwide. 145 submissions. So they got lucky with, you got lucky with 45.
I mean,
They want to go to Glasgow. And they have, like about 20 have really good valid reason to, I need to be in Glasgow, but we can only choose one.
Yeah, so, but it basically, we invited them to send us a letter just outlining why the residency would be beneficial to their practice, and also what they wanted to do while they were here. You know, I mean, what I really liked about this project, and we've both been quite clear about from the beginning, was that we weren't like expecting any outputs from the resident. We didn't want them to deliver anything at the end. It's really for them to use the time and space in their own way. But Holly had a really exciting project that she was researching, which was relevant to Bali, but also didn't feel like it was specific to Bali. It wasn't like she just thought of it for the application. You know, it was clearly something that was really interesting and ongoing, and related to her previous practice as well. And it was hard. We had lots of really.
But we have to tell Carolyn, it's actually rare call for proposal from cultural organization. Actually, we co-write the proposal together, responding to the British Council call for connection through culture event, which I think is really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to discuss Holly's project because Holly and I were speaking about it a little bit before at MASH, but were the criteria that you had for the filmmakers and their projects the same, so that you because it's a cultural exchange, so for instance, Holly's work, I find you're interested in tourism and how tourism affects different communities, right? Because you're talking about tourism in Scotland and different countries, and so for the Indonesian selection, was the film and the filmmaker completely desperate opposite?
Completely different, yeah. Because we do it different way. So when we send the Indonesian filmmaker Haris Yulianto, he came 1 week before Glasgow Short in a very beautiful space, the Cove. Yeah, the Cove Park. So it's a quiet, proper nature, different from Indonesia. So we know that we are trying to find someone that is developing their next project, being cut off from their root will be probably great because then they rethink a lot. So that's our criteria, and it works to match the opportunity that we have there. Meanwhile, Honey came right in the storm of the festival. You meet a lot of people, and then you have like a wind down time. So it is a bit different, yeah, when we search.
And Holly, for you, how did you get into filmmaking, and how did you kind of settle on to like what kind of filmmaking you wanted to be and what kind of stories you wanted to tell?
Yeah, I come from an arts background, so I made Stranger Things videos for actually the last 5-6 years. I moved towards creative documentary, but I still work in video art through live video performance, and my live video performance actually are very much like in the sort of sketch type feeling where I collect a lot of my ideas. A lot of the ways I like to think and see the world is through still this relationship to how I used to work, even though now I'm working in a more linear format. And a lot of my films are actually about Ireland, actually. And I'm very much interested in like ideas of like home and connection, like estrangement as it relates to like our present moment. So a lot of them are like have varied. Like the last film I worked on is about Parnell in the community I live in Ireland, which I'm originally from, but then left for a long time. And so this actually, the project I'm working on here is it's going to be a really long project. I feel like I'm just in the beginning stages of it, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to having conversations with people in Bali. Not that I'm going to make a film about Bali's context whatsoever, but I'm very drawn to a lot of my research is around not just tourism in Ireland, but it's like dependence on like American imperial structure through like investment and funding from America and intense investment from American tech sector into Dublin, which makes them complicit and reliant on obeying. And the same thing is actually very much happening in Scotland. But yeah, this increasing like militarization around the coastal waters of like Scotland and Ireland are connected to EU NATO initiatives, but essentially American militarization efforts. So you kind of there's a lot of streams that are intersecting at the minute. But yeah, and so I'm here in Bali, I guess, to like, have those conversations and like, to open it up into like a transnational conversation, and it's a really unique opportunity to be able to do that and not just have this like conversation be like Euro-centric in this. So it's going to be like a big project that I hope to go researching over the next like few years.
No, and I think it's a great project. Like we were discussing, because there's a lot of people don't think about the similarities in these kind of influences from American imperialism and tourism, but also the tech spaces and the military and all these things, how they actually intersect with a lot of different countries, and there's a lot of interplay in it. In like a project like that could be set in Barbados as well, because we have a lot of the same problems. Because like a lot of people don't realize that Barbados is actually there's like a stockade for the U.S. Military and Navy in Barbados. Like they have a piece of property right in the dead center of our city, where they store weapons and money. And I'm like, that's American imperialism present in Barbados, right? Like you see sometimes their navies, they take vacations on the islands, and when they come, they bring like a lot of their own behavior, things that they think they can get away with on islands, because like they're like, who's gonna check us? Like we have carte blanche to do whatever we want because we have impunity, as things. So like I can see like
I think it's this like sort of like ambient type of like power structures going on that really interests me, how it's being done in a very concealed way. Where like also Ireland specifically is supposed to be it's a neutral military and neutral country, and it's like I won't go into it, but there's a thing called the Triple Lock, which is keeping Ireland neutral, but the Triple Lock is now like completely under threat. There's discussions to remove it and all these things. So it's sort of ambient, the stuff we're experiencing. Yeah, we all feel it.
And in Scotland, it's really interesting where had the residency in Cove Park. It's this beautiful landscape, very kind of empty and quiet, but it's just over the hill from the nuclear submarine base, the naval base, which is this huge vast area of land that's no one really knows what's going on behind these high fences and stuff, and it's very much US influence, fascinating. And it's 30 miles from one of the biggest cities in the UK, it's in Scotland, which is a country that's overwhelmingly against having a nuclear base in its existence.
And the thing is like a lot of that, like, and this is something I talk about constantly in my work, is the effects of colonialism and imperialism and how it actually affects so many different cultures and so many different people around the world in the exact same way. Because like what you're talking about was like the nuclear presence, like there's going to be environmental impact to that, right? And the people aren't going to know until like years later, until the damage has been done. But then the people are told, well, you gotta accept it because like this is like the US, like they can do basically whatever they want. And people are like, but should we have to accept it? And it's kind of unfair, especially when you consider the history of European colonialism in both Ireland and Scotland, right? And then even with Bali and Indonesia, like there's this event called the Jakarta Method, which was instituted by the same US military.
We were like, got so excited you are mentioning the same book, because when we had our first Zoom, like to coordinate, like and we read that you are very interested in also politics, and we say timely. This is again, Indonesia is with the president with the military background, and we told Polly that you should read Jakarta Method. It's such a good book.
I have to read that book because I found out about I knew a bit about the history of it, like from like years ago, but I didn't even know there was an actual book written about it until recently. So like,
and very well written. I think the most well written.
I went on as soon the day I found out about it, I went on the library website to go and order it, and it's back ordered by like 300 people having a resource. I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to buy this book. But the thing is, and the reason that we're mentioning this is like, look at what's happening in Indonesia and in Nepal right now. Like their governments are being overthrown. Like in Nepal, like the young people have they've turned over their government in like 2 days. They're like, we will burn this down. Whereas in Indonesia, they're making their way there, But it's like when you talk about there's all of these things that are happening, and like you have filmmakers like Holly making these films and making the connections and say, I'm from Ireland, and like this is a film festival showing in Scotland, and now I'm in Indonesia, but like we have all of these similarities and these things going on. Like I'm from Barbados, and like there's things that I can relate to, and that's one of the reasons I love film, because film is such an important medium to teach people about that we are more alike than we are different, especially when you talk about politics and political history. And I think it's important that for Indonesia and for the festival to have this kind of connection, and I want you guys to talk a bit about that, about the film festivals collaborating, having a very specific purpose to make sure that film is entertaining, but it can also be a teaching tool. That's, to me, I see that film is one of the best teaching tools around. Not only because it's a visual method, it's a visual medium, but it's a way to get multiple viewpoints across at the same time. Create different connections. Because you can use sound, use coloring, use editing, cinematography, the acting, costume design, all of these things individually tell a story. But when you bring them together to cohesively, you get a full picture. So when you guys talk about collaborating and creating a cohesive story with this collaboration between these two festivals.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think what drew me to Minikino was the fact that this is a festival that really. And we saw it at the opening ceremony yesterday.
Yes.
I know it's been a long few days, and it's been day 2 out of 8. It's only day 2, and it feels like day 5 already. I don't know. I think it's because of the jet lag. I think.
And just so much exciting things happening.
Yeah.
But almost the first thing that was talked about at the ceremony was the application program, and the second thing that was talked about was the inclusivity of the festival, and I think so many festivals, they may have these elements, but they're kind of like the sidebars to the main program, the main program is all about the curatorial brilliance vision of the festival organisers, and I think to kind of put these things like front and centre is really exciting to me. I sort of have mixed feelings about the calling film a teaching tool. I mean, I agree, but I think teaching is, I don't know.
It's something. It's just something.
It's a power relationship. Yeah. But as a tool for creating dialogues at all sorts of levels and engagement at all sorts of levels, that's what really excites me about film. So that's something that we sort of chimed on, I guess.
When did you first learn in Minikino?
Short Film Conference, because we are the member of the Short Film Conference.
Yeah, which is an international
association. Basically.
I need to look that up because I've never heard
You
of
need to, because when if you are into short films and you would like to know, where to go and where to look at, I think just go to the Short Film Conference and see their members. Mostly festivals, but they are also distributors, and we are thinking about should we journalists also are also opening for journalists film journalist membership. Basically, it's nice to know that we are not alone, like we are actually doing the same thing, but in a different context. Honestly, it's because of COVID, actually. We get to know, Glasgow, there's Glasgow Short Film Festival. They invite Minikino to be on board for like a webinar. And then for me, I think I met Sana like repetitively, but have not really sit and talk, but only with you, I think 2 or 3 years ago, we talked. And what drew me, I think immediately that, we have to make something again with Glasgow if we have a chance, is because I heard about your going to prison and screen films there.
Oh yeah.
For us, that is really something, because we don't go to prisons, but we also like go to this really like deep pocket where we know that films can be an open door to discuss some things, and so it's like,
And Holly, I want you to talk a bit about the application process of applying to film festivals, and if you've noticed like the difference between different festivals and different regions, and your experience with that. Because I think it's important that people know, like, it's a nerve-wracking process for especially for young filmmakers, and it can be quite costly because I know there's for some festivals, like the application fee can be minimal, like some are like $20, $30, but if you're applying to like dozens of festivals, like that's a cost that racks up fairly quickly, and it can be mentally draining just going through the whole process.
Yeah. Well, okay, just for context, I've only shown 2 films in a film festival context, because before that I was working in a gallery context with films that were meant to be experienced in a loop at a different time, and so I've only recently come to single channel, as you say, filmmaking, so I feel quite new, and it genuinely is a different medium, and to work in that time it is internet, and so I'm quite new to the festival context. So but in my first film I distributed by myself, and I did the whole applying myself. Just a tip to anyone who's like also doesn't come from money. I emailed a lot of programmers and asked for a fee waiver, which you can do. It's not like fast to do that. It's quite common, and a lot of festivals will also just be upfront and say no, like we actually really rely on this, and then they'll actually save their fee waivers for countries that would have less money than say like European countries, which is totally fair, but it's still worth emailing and asking. So that helped a lot. Then this last film I did is actually being distributed by the Scottish Documentary Institute, which is great because they deal with all the acceptance and rejection. Because that's the other thing when you're distributing yourself, you're getting all these rejection emails, and it's like, okay. But also it's quite nice to distribute yourself in the beginning to get a landscape and a feel for all the different festivals. And I guess my biggest takeaway is that like the smaller festivals are so much more rewarding. I know that might be a cliche thing to say, but there's actually time and space to like speak to humans and for real community to like develop and real friendships to emerge. And the bigger festivals I've gone to that are supposed to be like so and exciting, I went there and was just like left feeling like I had no like grounding. And you hear from Toronto, so like places like hot dogs and things, or like I'm like, okay, what's going on here? This is supposed to be like I like hot dogs, but I have much more like rewarding experiences at the smaller festivals, and I think smaller festivals should be nurtured and nourished and not treated to become like massive, because what does that even mean,
I think that's it. We talk to a lot of filmmakers in Scotland who, they don't have any experience with festivals, and so they go straight for Sundance, London, Cannes, and they don't realise that it's really prestigious to get your film in there, but you are very, very small fish in a very, very big pond when you get there, and you're going to work hard to kind of be noticed or even to be even invited to parties sometimes. And I speak from experience as a failed filmmaker of 20 years ago, so I know. Whereas at short film festivals, you're the reason for the festival, and everyone who's coming to that festival from the industry side of things is there to look at short films and is interested in the work that you're making eventually. So although it may not seem as prestigious or as important, it probably will have a much bigger impact on your development and your career to go for the smaller festivals.
No, I agree, because something that I do a lot with my work, because I interview and I speak with a lot of student filmmakers or like novice filmmakers who are like now beginning. I always try to advocate for small festivals. Like I talk about Minikino, I cover shorts in Asia, so I tell people apply to shorts in Asia. I talk them about the website Festome. Festome has like it's a platform for all of these film festivals. And like I had attended an event a few months ago in Toronto with a friend who started this initiative where like young filmmakers can come together for like a day or two-day event and speak to production editors, to speak to distributors, speak to people in the industry to tell them what filmmaking is really like and how you have to get into it. And I was moderating, and I had mentioned on a couple of the panels, I said like what I always suggest young filmmakers do is pitch to festivals that you don't think will actually accept your work. And when I say that, I mean like festivals in Asia, smaller festivals in Europe, like in Ireland, in Scotland, Wales, in South Korea. Don't only look at Busan Film Festival. There's a film festival like the Ulju Mountain Film Festival where they have like programs like about nature. So if you have a film that is nature themed, apply to like Ulju, because they have a nature themed platform program, a program literally about mountains. If you have a film where a mountain is featured, apply there, like in Toronto there's it's a new film festival, this year's the second year, called Sept Film Festival, and it's a Filipino film festival. And one of the films that showed there was directed by a black woman, written and directed by a black woman in Toronto, but the producer is Filipino. So they platformed that film because the producer is Filipino. And I told the people at this event, I said, if your cinematographer is First Nations, apply to film festivals that focus on First Nation filmmakers. If your editor is from Nepal, apply to a film festival surrounding Southeast Asia. Do these things and branch out. And the thing is like, I think a lot of people don't know this and they're not taught about it because everyone focuses on, you mentioned like hot dog, but I agree with you. There's like everyone thinks about TIFF. They think about Berlinale, they think about Cannes, and all of these more well-known film festivals. But I'm like, the likelihood of you getting there is going to be minuscule because they look for the auteurs. They look for even for young filmmakers, they still look for people who have a very particular style of filmmaking, So like I always tell people like branch out. Like the film world is so much more bigger than we actually think it is. Like there's so many film festivals happening around the world. Like I found out from a couple of the tiny cities. There's one in France in South France. I can't remember the name, but like the cup is the cup is on the shelf in your room. And I never heard of that festival till I saw that cup. Right? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna go check it out. So like that's the way to like learn, be curious.
I think it's really hard though for filmmakers, because often with short filmmakers, the festival distribution is left to the director. I mean, even the producer will move on to the next project, and it's a lot of research to do, as well as all the actually filling in the applications, sending them off, and really they just want to be making the next film, you know. So I do understand that it can be overwhelming, particularly if you just think, right, where do I start? I'll go on Film Freeway. It's just so many. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think looking at what festivals show, what kind of work they've shown before is really key to efficient festival strategy.
You know, on that note about filmmakers, like, you know, like they just want to make their new film. That's why 3 years ago, we translated a book made by Clarissa Jacobson. She's an American writer, producer, but she made a really nice, easy reading book. I made a short film, now WTF do I do it? We translated into Indonesian 3 years ago. So, you know what? We launched the book in June. In September, we invited Clarissa to come. In June, we make like pre-order, like everyone is already like, you know, read the book. When they come to the festival, they do it differently. Like they come and ready, you know they should be at the parties, but not to be wasted, because it is in a way professional, but also make new friends. They have postcards, they are ready with their, you know, pitch deck or whatever new project. So, wow. So the literacy is very much important.
Yeah, and speaking of kind of like figuring out how the festivals work for the filmmakers, I want you both to kind of talk about how you make the film festivals work too. Because like and when I say that is like, for instance, like you built a whole cinema in your house because you're like, we lost the space that we had before.
Resources
So and then like to find out that you guys do the audiovisual descriptions yourself, which I think is just insanity. I legit
Not ourselves, but also with the community.
but with the community, right? Which I think is super impressive, but also kind of like unhinged. And the reason I say that is because usually festivals with like stuff like that, I thought would be left to the production studios themselves. You know, like the producers no money to do it. That's the thing, right? But there's that. But like, you guys are making a way out of no way for yourselves. But then also, Márie, you said like your festival kind of branched off for another one when you and your friends were holding events yourself. It kind of grew organically from just the pure love of film. And you guys started that way, and I relate a lot to that so much because I know what we call like tweet event. Every Saturday night, me and a friend of mine, Philip, who lives in Montreal, like we've never even met in person, but he lives in like Montreal and Toronto. And every Saturday night, we come together, us and like group of people, anyone who wants to join me off the internet, to like tweet about films and TV shows, and literally of any genre, of any era. And we even have what we call like every quarter we have like a short film digital festival where we curate a list of short films and we like tweet these like films from all over the world. So I relate a lot to you, like kind of like building something from nothing just out of the pure love of film. But I want you guys to talk a bit about just doing that, just like saying like we're gonna have to get scrappy and just do this thing because like we love film so much, even though it's exhausting, expensive, and frustrating.
Well, I mean, for me, it's almost the opposite problem now because we actually just this year we've secured funding for the next 3 years. Like, it's only about half our budget for each year, but it's a real great bedrock that we can build on, and it's, you know, this is after years and years of just every year applying for money, and sometimes we get some, sometimes we get less. So for me, the challenge now is to kind of maintain, whilst we're professionalizing, still to maintain that sort of independent, scrappy identity which we've always had. We've always kind of placed ourselves not in opposition to the main Glasgow Film Festival, but in spirit, quite different, I guess. And you know, we're very sort of anti, you know, red carpets and big boards of sponsor logos and all that sort of thing. So yeah, but I think particularly we're lucky in that the city we're based in has a very sort of progressive, worker-led spirit and history, and people are very used to collaborating and working with few resources and working together, and I think that's kind of think we've retained that spirit just from being in the city that we are in. That doesn't sound too pretentious.
No, and I love that you say that because like I've been doing this for since 2017, and I'm just being completely honest. Like for me, the Toronto International Film Festival has lost a lot of its shine for me, partly due to the politics of what a lot of the decisions of the board making. Most recently is real, but also like I realize a lot of it is like so much of it happens and it's like so much of to me I'm feeling like it's less about the art of filmmaking and more about the prestige of filmmaking. If you and not to say that the films that there are extremely artistic films there, I just mean like the overall perception of it and how it's marketed and how it's pushed and stuff, you know, like is a lot of the shine has kind of like lost its glamour for me. And like the thing that I miss the most is like that draws me to it the most is just speaking to people, like talking to like other film presenters and film critics and stuff. But the film festival overall, I'm just like I'm just like the shine has worn off. So I love that you guys are just like you still have the passion and you're still very big in foundation.
And I think you have to. The way you retain the passion is by kind of finding new projects to pour our energy into. Chica mentioned our prisons work, where we go into a prison and show screenings, but also do workshops and do curation workshops and animation workshops, and we bring international filmmakers into the prison as well. And that's been so exciting for us as a team because it's received really well, but it's something new to us and it keeps us fresh. And yeah, I mean, I think the shine has really gone across the whole sector for so many of us in the last 5 years because of COVID, and now the way we're seeing certain institutions react to what's going on in Gaza, for example, and the fear of making a statement about that, and it does leave you quite disillusioned with cinema as a sector, but not as a medium, I guess. Yeah. You have to keep those two things separate.
Yeah, and that to me sucks, especially as a film critic and as a journalist, and especially someone who grew up, like, film is such a big part of my childhood and as an adult, and like film is, people say, oh, film isn't supposed to be political. I'm like, film is political. Like the whole foundation of film came out of politics, you know, like telling stories that weren't supposed to be told, like breaking the laws of physics to record images on film reel. That's like kind of political, but people were saying like this is witchcraft. People like whatever, this is witchcraft. Like, right? And so like to see how it's changed a lot in the last 5 years. Like you said, in the last 5 years in particular, like in 2020 and then in 2021, like all of these festivals were talking about accommodations for film critics and journalists, you know, talking about inclusion initiatives and funding us and like giving us like stipends and all that kind of stuff. And 2022 came along, 2023, and all of a sudden like we don't have these stipends anymore. They're saying, oh, if you got it once, you can't get it again, you know. And then they were like, oh, we're not offering digital links anymore, and they're like, we want to have a limited number of digital links. And I'm like, how can you have a limited number of digital links? So all you have to do is copy and paste the URL and send it to us. And that's a big part of why I become disillusioned, because I'm like, they're not making film festivals are becoming more inaccessible, especially the bigger ones. So that's one of the reasons I gravitate to film festivals like Minikino, you know, like you guys make it's so accessible for people, like, cause that's why many does tell you guys that you don't understand how appreciative I am for someone like me, because I've been rejected and like by the bigger film festivals are told, oh, you can come, but we can't accommodate you in this way. And I'm like, you're not making film accessible. Film should be one of the most accessible things ever, you know. And it's just like, I'm like, you're making it hard for us.
But I think it's like it's like almost like a recycle cycle. And I think one word that I hope it resonates and it translates correctly is militancy. Militancy, yeah. I think at least for Minikino and seeing how it is planned, birth of Minikino, and then totally different people are running it now, including me. It's the love of the medium and realizing that I'm audience. I'm into filmmaker because I want to know how it works, and now I can give back because I can be like the consultant of the workshops and all. But definitely, I came from the audience seat, and then why I'm at this point and at this point is because we connect all these films with the audience and the filmmaker, and they got inspired and give back. I think that is how we get by. I think honestly, for us, I think we need to pass it on. Like, I'm not gonna be here forever. I hope I can build like a money tree, and then like, oh, you don't have to worry about funding. But Minikino always even managed to set the dates for next year. Is because we know, with or without the government money, we'll just do it. Maybe smaller, but we have friends, we have communities. Hey, like, at your backyard. I hope we don't have to be like that, but we do have community screenings, by the way, at remote places in Bali. And during festival, they are also involved because they cannot travel that far to enjoy the films. Sometimes during previous year, congrats for Matt for securing core funding. We had our core funding for 3 years. It impacted a lot from our organization. We can do research. That's how we came out with, we have to strengthen the education, because that's probably where the money can be coming in independently in a way that maybe it can be half-half commercial, but also for CSR and for education. Anyhow, yeah, it's militancy. I hope it answers a lot.
No.
Pass it forward. Younger people, that's why we need to involve. As you see, it's like half my age. I'm as old as their mom. So that's like, working with you is like almost going out with my mom. That's a compliment. I'm lucky I get to spend and get the good stuff from their children. I don't have any children, but they do. We work with half my age now, and I'm hoping to, get them to one day feel the love, enough commitment, and probably have good second job, and have the festival also running if it is needed by the community.
Yeah, and my last question, this last one, Holly, I want you to finish off talking about after hearing Matt and Chika talk, like, what is your takeaway about the collaboration, and like how has this given you a better insight into how the festivals operate and into what you want to continue doing as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I mean, I just got here. Yeah, no, of course. I mean, I'm just like a big advocate of this sort of, like I said, like smaller festival, and I don't see smaller festivals as being like not more like established or haven't got. It's like a very specific thing in and of itself, and it needs to be so cherished, because the big problem in general is not just with the festivals wanting more prestige, like everyone, all the creatives themselves somehow want this as well, and it's chasing this weird white rabbit of like, you see, I remember in the art world I used to see it where people were genuinely seemed more interested in filling up their CVs rather than actually making the work, and everyone's so obsessed with becoming somebody, and we don't talk about this enough. There's like intense branding on everyone, on individuals, on festivals, like this is, and I want to see more art that's like messy and alive. And when I say messy and alive, when I go see something, I don't think my barometer of whether or not it's good or bad, I don't think in that way. I just think of like, do I believe this or not? So I don't care what stage the filmmaker is at, or even how messy what my output is. I just want to be having a conversation that feels authentic and alive. And I feel like a lot of filmmakers are making sure, I have to make a type of film like this so that the programmers will accept it. And the programmers are also a bit scared to show stuff that might not be so popular, so they're choosing that. And there's then this like snake eating its tail thing, where there's a lot of people that are scared to be a bit messy with their work, and this is the biggest thing that hurts me anyway. But what I get excited when I'm around film festivals that like support and nourish a spirit, a really like alive spirit. So, I don't know, that's a bit of a tangent.
No, I love it. I love it because we could go on from there, because there's like a film that I saw last night that perfectly encapsulates what you're saying. It was I think it's a French film. It's in the Intricate Love program. Beaks.
Oh, Beaks! Oh,
I saw that film, and that film is legit what you're talking about, because my visceral reaction was like, I hate human beings so much. And when you watch the film, you know what I'm talking about. But it is that. And like, even if the film made me angry, I'm like, that's what it's supposed to do, you know, evoke a visceral reaction. You're supposed to have some kind of reaction, whether you hate a film, like it, feel apathetic, and even apathy is a strong reaction in and of itself. But you're supposed to have a feeling like that, and I agree completely with what you said. Like, film festivals like need to be messy, like.
Or they just allow also for real connection to take place.
Right.
That is literally the point of being alive. They're like, what are you gonna get from like, oh, I've won all the accolades, I've won all the awards. Like, that actually has no meaning. At the end of the day, it's about like forming real connection. So yeah, and these smaller festivals allow for that. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for speaking to us. Thank you.
This is a great discussion. Honestly, we could go on, but we can't. But thank you so much, and congratulations on the collaboration. Congratulations, Holly, on making her for the residency. I'm sure like that's amazing. Like you're gonna learn a lot, and you guys are gonna learn. I think learn a lot from her as well. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thanks.